What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Silver Screen Shenanigans podcast. My name is Devin, and the question of the day is, would you rather, like you don't have any powers here, but, would you rather have Cap shield and know how to throw it, have Bucky's metal arm, or have Sam Wilson, I think is his name, would you have his wings, the Falcon's wings? I don't know. For me, I think just because of how convenient it would be, because I have it literally at all times, Bucky's arm. Because one, I'm super strong with that thing. I could do almost anything with it, and it's always on me. So I'm just going with that because of how convenient it is.
Yeah, I'm Riley. This is a hard decision because for two of them, you have to train.
Yeah.
For Sam's wings,
you can just fly.
You have to train, but you can just fly, And then for Cap's shield, you have to know how to throw it to have it bounce back to you.
Geometry and stuff.
Yeah. And then for Bucky's arm, it is a part of you, but also in the winter and stuff, people with prosthetic limbs, they get really sore where it touches them because of it's always it's one thing and your body changes throughout the seasons.
Yeah.
So all of them have a drawback.
Hook me up on some meds.
I think I would have to choose Sam's wings because I've always wanted to fly.
Fly and be pretty sick.
It would be so cool. And not even have to have a jet or anything. It's just on your back like a jet.
Yeah, it's with it follows his movements, I guess. I don't know how else he's controlling.
I think he straps his hands into the wings because you can see he'll pull his arm in and the whole wing will flip. Then he can shoot like a hawk. Dude, hawks are crazy.
So we open up here with Sam Wilson.
What movie are we talking about?
Oh yeah, Winter Soldier. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We open up on I think it's just some morning in DC next to the Washington Monument, or and then also that pretty sick Abe Lincoln statue. Sam's were doing laps around this place. And who else but Captain America is also running in this place, and we get the great line, "on your left." And he tells Sam that 10, 15 times.
Every single time he passes him.
Polite Captain America, "on your left." And then Sam is all right. The first time he's all right, thanks for letting me know. And then the 15th time, dude, he's come on. He's lapped.
Don't say it.
He's lapped him 15 times. So he ran I don't know how he said how many miles in 13 minutes.
Yeah, no, he ran for 30 minutes and ran 15 miles, I think.
Nutty.
Something like that, which is insane.
And then it's what's interesting about Cap is some people assumed because he has the superhero serum, super soldier serum, that's what I wanted to say. He what's up with Marvel and alliteration?
I don't know.
Peter Parker, Matthew Murdock.
They got a lot of names like that, though.
Cap still needs to work out. The serum doesn't just make him ripped. He still needs to work out to be strong.
Even for his shield, he has to know how to bounce it.
Yeah.
So he trains all the time.
No, the feats that he does in the Captain America does in the comic books sometimes is nutty. So yeah, Steve meets Sam. They have a little talk.
This is the first person he can really relate to.
Yeah.
Because Sam served 2 tours in somewhere. I can't remember the exact place, but he served 2 tours.
Yeah.
Which I believe is 12 years. I could be wrong on how long a tour is. But
I just wanted to look at. I was trying to look up Steve's little notebook that he wrote down, things to catch up on.
But yeah, so he got all this. He actually related to Sam, and he hadn't been able to relate to anybody because Sam was
they both feel out of place and not knowing what to do.
I thought the opening line was "The bed's too soft, isn't it?"
Yeah,
because they would normally sleep on the ground,
rocks and stuff.
Rocks, yeah.
Because something we often forget that Cap is a veteran of war, in World War II. So that's something also to, like, not only is he a man out of time, but he's a man out of, like, he can't relate to people in general because of, he feels out of place because of war as well. But so Sam recommends to him the Trouble Man soundtrack. But what I love so much about this list that he wrote down, it's what's weird is like it changes in different countries of like what the list says, which is
really
kind of weird.
Huh.
But somebody recommended I Love Lucy, which I remember watching that movie or watching that show when I was younger, and it's like an old black and white show. Moon Landing, probably should catch up on the Moon Landing.
See that one.
The Berlin Wall, yeah, that's fairly important. It says up plus down. When it went up, when it went down. And then Steve Jobs, pretty significant with Apple.
Yeah.
Disco, yeah, you could pass, I guess.
I mean, it was an important time period.
Not for us. We can't relate.
Okay.
Thai food. Never had Thai food.
I haven't either. I've always wanted to try different types of foods and stuff, but
Star Wars and Star Trek. Yeah. Nirvana. And then Rocky 2 question mark.
That was funny. So there's like 4 or 5 Rockies, right?
Yeah.
You know more than I do. I've never seen a single Rocky movie.
We gotta fix that.
Is there 7?
So the Rocky 1, 2, 3 with Mr. T, 4 Ivan Drago, 5 where he's like the coach. He takes the coach role. And then there's Rocky Balboa, which is Rocky 6. And then I think
do we count
the Creed movie. I don't know.
I wouldn't count those. If they don't have Rocky in the name, I don't think I'd count it.
He is in the movie though.
Well, you can be in a movie and it's not your movie.
100%. Okay, we'll get to those. We'll fix that you haven't watched them eventually. So yeah, I love that he's trying to catch up on stuff. He's like, the internet, so helpful. But then somebody comes to pick up Steve because it's like, he's got stuff to do. And it's Natasha. And bro, the look that Sam gives Natasha, oh my goodness. Anthony Mackie in this role, he's a savage. I don't know how else to put it. And then the interviews that he does outside of like these movies, just look up Anthony Mackie, like interviews, any of them are just gold. Like the stuff that he says is just great.
Well, who was it that said that he was really pushing for like an intimate scene with?
I think he said that. I think he wanted to do that, which I'm like, I can't blame you. So what the mission they got to do is like Steve and Natasha are gonna go save these hostages that are trapped on a boat, and Steve just jumps out the plane without a parachute.
Yeah, one of the guys on the plane, he goes, Did he have a parachute on?
Nah.
No.
But he just jumps in the water, climbs up the anchor onto the boat, and like beats the crap out of some dudes.
It makes sense for him, but at a certain point, water becomes like cement. If you're from high enough.
Oh yeah.
So if he was a normal person, he would have splattered against the water.
Yeah, beats the crap out of these dudes.
Yeah. He kicks a guy in the chest.
Like the Spartan kick.
Over the edge of the boat.
100% broken sternum.
Yeah, no, he kills a couple guys.
You think?
Yeah. Didn't he stomped on a guy's head with his shield or something like that?
I thought he was just bonking people with the shield.
I don't know.
He did throw a knife at a guy's hand. That was pretty brutal.
One of them you're like, oh yeah, he's definitely dead here. I don't remember which one.
Well, when the guys paratroop in, they start shooting people. So yeah, those guys are dead. So it has and then he fights this guy called Batroc, which we'll see later in the Marvel stuff, which is kind of cool. But he's from the comic books, and he doesn't have any like powers, but he's kind of like
he's super gifted in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, he can do some things that most people can't, and it's why he's able to go like toe-to-toe with Cap here for a little bit, just a little bit, until Cap like gets serious and like wrecks this dude.
He makes fun of him for using his shield.
Yeah. But so they save the hostages while that's going down. And then they find out, and then it's like as Cap's fighting this Batroc guy, he stumbles into a room and he sees Nat there trying to save like shield files. And he's like, what are you doing? We were supposed to be saving the hostages. And she's like, well, I mean, that was your mission. This is my mission. And it's like, so immediately we're like, oh, Cap's not into this whole secrecy thing, which is like, so which kind of sets the tone, I think. But this distraction lets Batroc escape. He throws a, it looks like a flashbang, but it's definitely like a bomb. A grenade,
yeah. I agree. It does look like a flashbang, though.
And so, like, Cap picks up Nat, and they, like, jump into this room overwards, and...
I noticed. So she shoots the window, and then he just jumps through the other side of the window.
It's like, yay, teamwork, but, like, he probably didn't need her to do that. And she's like, yeah, that's on me. And then Cap goes, like...
You think?
It is like, oh, so there's some tension here. Oh, you get some tension.
Because he was supposed to be the leader of this mission, and he wasn't in on the mission.
Yeah, she didn't care. So Romanoff had a different mission, and so Cap's a little peeved. He goes to Fury, and he's like kind of pissed about like all these secrets. Like he's like, and then Fury's like, where does it say I have to tell you everything? He's like, I'm like basically, you know, one of the top guys at SHIELD, so you know, information is compartmentalized. So if if one guy gets captured, then he doesn't know everything. But Cap doesn't like this because that's not how
he thinks it should work.
A free and open like thing should work. That everybody, an army should know everything about their friends. So that's how trust is like. So yeah, Cap's not down with this whole like secrecy thing.
We then see. I noticed this. They do like they walk into the elevator and it checks their level of access.
Yeah.
Cap is at level 8, and then Fury is at level 10. So, in one of the past movies,
it was like one of the Iron Mans, right?
Level 7 is the max, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Bro, the levels just keep getting higher.
But that also shows that he doesn't know everything.
Right.
That Cap isn't allowed to know a lot of stuff about it.
And as we'll find out, neither does Fury.
Yeah.
But so in that elevator, we get a pretty cool story that kind of is like the I guess kind of the subtext of this movie, like the kind of the message of this starting out of Fury tells Cap a story about his grandpa who used to work in an elevator, and it was like in a rough neighborhood. And so like people would sometimes kind of like, you know, verbally, I guess, like harass his grandpa sometimes.
Well, he said that it wasn't always a bad neighborhood.
Right.
But as times kept going, it got worse. So he always would bring like a sack lunch, and people they started asking, what's in the bag? Give me your lunch. And
Grandpa would show him. It was crumpled ones and a loaded 22 Magnum. And so like, I guess like the story was it's about safety, but it's about like, it's people who don't know, like it.
People don't need to know that they're safe.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird deal. It's like he knew, I guess like, yeah, the gun kind of represents what we'll see later as like safety.
Yeah.
But like, is it safety to everybody? Which is kind of an interesting argument that you can have.
And the elevator doors open, and we walk into what is it called? Project Insight?
Yeah.
Project Insight, which is
upgraded helicarriers.
like 3, 4, 5 helicarriers.
Yeah. And nice little nod is instead of Cap talks about like, so you're putting a gun to people's head and calling it safety. You know, Cap believes in a more free or open society, which is, Um, but yeah, it was something you noticed that was pretty funny was, why? So they're not turbines anymore on the corners of the helicator. They're like repulsors that like Tony would use in his hands and his feet to like lift off. So like yeah, he's like Tony gave us the suggestions, and he's like, and then so you said he's like he got real up close and personal with one in the Avengers movie. So it makes sense why he's like, yeah, let's not do that anymore. So then after
they said it was self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Once they go up,
Fury
they don't need to come back down.
Which is pretty sick. And they probably have that like invisibility technology, so like nobody will ever know that they're up there.
Definitely.
So then after that, I guess like Cap's feeling sort of lost. He feels like he doesn't know what to do, so he goes to the Smithsonian and he has like a little like heart to heart with like the people that he's lost or thinks he's lost.
We really get to see like these people they trust in him, and he has this whole aisle whole section of the Smithsonian based on his life and his people that he lost because he was frozen.
Yeah.
So feeling
old pictures
like he has
of
nobody, he goes there and reminisces.
Old pictures of Peggy and Bucky, and he still has the little like compass that like she gave him with like her picture in it. Every time he opens that up, it hurts. So then afterwards, he goes and talks to Peggy. It's just life is kind of, happened like to her. Like she grew like old while Cap was frozen, which sucks on another reason because, life has passed her by and it hasn't passed for him. So they can't really be together.
Yeah.
And the Cap has a really cool line about he wants to do what's right, but he doesn't know what right is anymore, which is everybody right now.
Yeah. Well, something we both were talking about while watching this part was the CGI or the like practical makeup on her.
I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't
either, because it doesn't look quite right.
Right.
But also it does, if that makes any kind of sense.
And it could be that, she's old and life wasn't nice to her.
Yeah. So it looked very good.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And there's one thing that I want to talk about, but we can't quite yet because it's spoilers for down the line.
Yeah. We believe that she has some kind of dementia.
Right.
Because she recognizes him.
And then like when they're done talking, she's like, you came. It's like, oh, like, is she like seeing him again? Or is it like, did she
just
not
reset?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know at this point.
So
does he then go to the VA?
So then it cuts back to Fury.
No? Okay.
And then he's trying to get some information, and he's like, unlock the files, like codename Nicholas Fury, and then
he has the USB that Natasha had on the boat.
And it's like, this information is blocked. He's like, by who? Nicholas Fury. And he's like, well, okay, somebody's using my name to block files. That ain't good.
That he can't even get into as himself.
So, yeah, not everybody, not even Nick Fury has all the information. So then he goes to Secretary Pierce, who's played by Robert Redford, which, I mean, he's one of the all-time greatest actors. He's in a lot of stuff. Which is kind of, there's like a movie, like it's kind of about a horse movie from like back in the day with Robert Redford and Scarlett Johansson when she was like super young. So like they've already worked together, which was kind of fun. But he is one of the great bad guys, I think, in the MCU, just because of like what he's got his plan in this movie later on.
If he had a successful plan, it would have been one of the worst.
So they have a talk, and like Fury and Pierce, like they have a history. They've worked together. And Fury tells him that there might be some shady stuff going on. And then Pierce is like, "Oh yeah, I'll get right into that. I'm on top of that.
We need to call the meeting and postpone the launch of the helicarriers."
And he's like, yeah, sure. No thing, bro. I got you. So then, yeah, after Steve goes to the VA office,
it was close.
which it's super sad when you think about it, because this is like, it's a real life thing of like veterans, who feel out of touch. So they go to this place, and like what Sam says, we all got the same problems, might as well work through them together.
It leads in with a girl telling a story of being pulled over by the cops.
Yeah.
Because she swerved to miss a plastic bag thinking it was an IED, which is an improvised explosive device.
I can't even imagine like coming back from war and having like, because your whole life has changed afterwards.
Yeah. You think that you're done, but you're never really done.
Yeah.
And I think we see that in Cap and in Sam.
Because they know that they have to keep going. It's kind of like with Tony. Like he could stop whenever he wanted to, but he knows he can't.
He wouldn't be able to live with himself if he did.
Yeah, it's a cool detail about Steve trying to have difficulty of slipping back into society, because he doesn't know what Star Wars is. He doesn't know what Rocky is. It's like stuff that we have absorbed.
Surprised that there's a second Rocky.
It's stuff information that our society has sort of absorbed, even if you don't know, but like because of like osmosis, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Steve is just so out of touch with this world, and that's something I can't even imagine, that you're living in the same. It's like America, like it's his home, but like it's completely changed.
I mean, he was on ice for
70 years.
70 years.
So then it cuts to Fury driving down the road, and he calls Agent Hill, and he's like, there's some shady stuff going on. I need you here. And then these cops just ram him back into him, and then they're just like smashing into his car.
Well, they pin it. They hit on all four sides, and then start shooting at it.
And it's a real quick detail, but his car, it's like a supercar.
It drives by itself. It talks to him.
And it says there's no police presence in this area, which I was like, oh, so they're not police. It's like, so who are they?
Who are they? Who could do this?
But this, I think if I ever want a car, this is the car I want, because in like it basically has like a force. I'd say it's like a watered down version of Jarvis, kind of. Yeah.
It also
it tells them everything basically,
like force field.
Yes,
I mean it has
like the integrity of these windows. They're shooting at it. They're ramming into it. That's doing nothing to.
It said shields are at 40 or at 68% or something like that.
Well, I guess that's not true. The initial ramming broke his.
It fractured his arm,
and it like gave him some like he was bleeding.
The car said fracture detected in left arm.
How does it know?
What?
But yeah, when he rolls up the windows, it's like those bullets are not getting through. And then it says like it suggests like take lethal action now. He's like, not yet. They get out a battering ram, and this thing like sinks into the ground to like get like a hold.
Leverage.
Yeah. And it starts to like batter against his door, and it says window integrity 1%. And he
waited until it was at 1%,
and it pops up like in the what do we say it was?
The center console.
Yeah, it was like where you like rest your arm and like stuff.
Yeah.
A minigun pops up out of this thing, and he just lays waste to all these guys. And I'm like, dude, he has a minigun in his car.
The driving mechanics of the car got broke, and he goes, restart them.
He's like, is there anything not broken? Air conditioning, 100%.
I thought it would have been a really cool time for him to just go, blow me. If the AC is the only thing
and
that
it's
works.
Samuel L. Jackson.
It is. I thought that would have been so funny.
But
it's a very serious part, you know.
Marvel, Disney. What?
No, I don't think it was so much worse stuff.
It wasn't Disney yet.
It wasn't Disney yet, but now it's on Disney, so they would have probably cut that out.
But like it tells them where to like traverse through traffic with like, and dude, I didn't know how brutal it gets with like the guys. Like, I mean, they're trying to kill him, so defending himself, sure. Yeah. But like, he spins his car around and like knocks into like these guys shooting at him.
Sends guys flying with a car.
Like like I want to see his KD, and because I think it's pretty good because so like as like he's about to get away, like Fury's about to get away, but then you hear one of the coolest themes and like all the like it's almost like it's like a low like screaming, because like how they got that thing was like the guy screaming and like they just distorted it and made it lower, and it's like I can show it to you later. Okay, but like it's the Winter Soldier's theme, and dude, he's standing in the middle of the road with, I don't know what this gun is. It's like a magnet that like in a bomb, and it's like, but it looks like it almost looks like a crossbow thing that like shoots off
disc,
and it like goes under Nick's car, magnetizes, and it like sticks to his car, and then like detonates. It was all practical too, like how the car flips over and like.
If he was in the car, he would have been dead. Dude. Yeah, probably. It was over.
And then like it's so cool how like the Winter Soldier like steps to the side and he just like dodges bro. It's so sick.
I mean, that had to have not been real, right? I mean, I would not have put a guy out there in front of a car flying at him.
Well, I mean, it was definitely a stunt guy, 100%. But like,
stunt guys still have lives. I mean,
that's their job, is to do stunts. He signed up for it.
Hey man, if I get paid, I would do stunts.
Yeah. But then, like the
car skids to a stop.
Yeah, it's on top of it, like it's flipped over, and like Winter Soldier is heading over, and he's about ready to kill Nick Fury. But then he gets out like this little like lighter thing, and he's like, "Okay, what's he gonna do with that?" Bro, he cuts a hole through this like the cement.
Through the roof of the car, so through metal, through like inches of concrete.
And he escapes through like at sewers and whatnot, turtle style.
But he had to have been so lucky to land on like a grate or something, because there's no way you can just cut through cement and not have anywhere to put it.
Oh yeah, you just been cutting through cement. Yeah. Until, so he cuts his way out, and then we cut back to Steve, and he's like going to his apartment, and I'm like, dude, he's an Avenger, and he has like this little rinky-dink apartment. You
got to think about it. I mean, later on we see that they don't get paid to be Avengers.
True.
People know them, but they don't get paid for any of it.
I mean, they'll get their own compound eventually.
Yeah.
And then so he flirts with
his neighbor.
Uh-huh.
What is her name? I can't think of
it. I don't remember her name. I just remember Agent 13.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. That's a character that's kind of forgettable.
Yep.
Then so he goes into his apartment.
No, she says that he left his radio on.
Oh yeah.
He didn't leave his radio on, so he snuck. He went back out the front door of the apartment building, snuck up into his window.
Into his own apartment.
He snuck into his own apartment.
And then he sees Fury there, like with the record playing, and he's like slumped in this chair, and he's like, yeah, wife kicked me out. He's like, I didn't know you had a wife. He's like, there's a lot of things you don't know about me.
He's doing some like, if the place is bugged, listen.
Yeah,
now.
He's like ears everywhere.
Yeah, on his phone, he's holding these.
He's like, yeah, place is bugged.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's and then you could like it. Cap's face is like, oh, it's serious, and then he turns the light on, and he's like, oh crap, dude, Fury's like messed up, and then no, Fury's like, turn that off.
Clicks the light.
He's like, and then he stands up and is shot like
3 times
through concrete. I don't know what gun that is.
It's something, dude. I tell you what.
And then Fury tells him not to trust anyone.
And he hands him the hard drive or the flash drive.
And then his neighbor, Agent 13, the blonde lady, she comes in, and and he's like, Fury's down. And he's like, and Steve's like, who gave you this mission? He's just like, he did.
So yeah, he thought she was just a nurse, like a practicing nurse that lived next door. Turns out she was hired to protect him.
And then she goes, eyes on the shooter, and then Cap's like, in pursuit. And he like jumps out the window. And he runs after this guy. And we get the sense that this dude is super strong, super fast. And when Cap throws the shield, it's one of the coolest shots in all. A metal arm comes out and grabs the shield, and like he's looking at Cap, and it's like, who's caught the shield before?
And then throws it back at him.
Yeah.
And Cap goes sliding backwards.
So yeah, the amount of force that must have been into that throw, and then like while Cap's in shock, the guy gets away.
Yep.
And so then after that all goes down, they take Fury to surgery. I imagine it's a shield.
No, it's just at a hospital, dude.
Oh yeah, right. But they're like, there's like shield personnel all over the place. Nat shows up. Steve is there, and they pronounce it like 1300. I think they said.
I didn't see. I don't remember.
They pronounce Nick Fury dead, and it's like, yo.
Wow.
All right, we're having a good time, guys. It's great. It's a fun Marvel movie. So yeah, I think that this is one of those moments that like this is a different tone of a Marvel movie. So then I imagine it's like a couple days afterwards, Pierce calls up Steve like afterwards, and so Commissioner Pierce or something like that talks with Steve Rogers, and he's really pressing Steve about why Nick Fury was in that room, or like in Steve's apartment. And you know, Steve's I don't know.
Well, before this, he put the flash drive in the vending machine.
Oh yeah, and Nat's like, yeah, what were you doing in his apartment? And Steve goes, I don't know. And she's like, you're a really bad liar. So yes, the drive is in a vending machine in the hospital.
And then he gets called
to Pierce's office, and Pierce basically just like really presses him about there's something shady going on. I'm gonna find out who killed my friend, and anybody gets in my way, I will stop them. But yeah, I thought, thinking back on it, hindsight, we know why, but just without knowing, it's weird to like how much he pressed him, that like why Fury was there.
Yeah. Because he's like, you're the last one to see him alive.
Yeah.
Why was he at your apartment?
And also,
an answer.
The other thing where we find out that Pierce is has the theory that like Nick Fury hired the mercenaries on the boat to capture the.
Yeah.
He puts that out there, and I was like, that's not Fury.
But turns out it is.
What?
He did do that.
He did?
Yes. He hired those guys so that he could get the information off the boat, because he thought, before all of this, he thought something was going on.
Wonder why he hired French people.
Because they wouldn't suspect.
Well, they're not French. I guess they're not French.
They're just mercenaries.
But
yeah.
So then Steve leaves.
Yeah.
And then we get, I don't know. This is why I think this movie is not that forgettable, because there's so many cool scenes and parts in this movie. We get the elevator scene, where Steve walks in there, and then a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. guys walk in there. And they're like, yeah, real sorry about Fury. So you hate to hear that. And then some more guys walk in there. I think it's like really crowded in the elevator. It's like, it's weird.
Steve notices that one guy is like
sweating,
profusely sweating.
He's like, why are you so nervous, my guy? And so like it's silence there for a few minutes. And then I love this line by Steve. It's like, all right, before we get started, does anybody want to get out? And then it just, boom, it starts. And then like all these guys, like at least like 15 guys maybe in the elevator, 12, 15 guys. They all attack Steve. And this again, it gives you. I love how it gives you a sense in these movies how strong Steve is. Just like, and it's so cool because they put a like first they zap him with this thing that knocked out a guy earlier in the movie just by like bonking him on the head with it, knocked him out immediately. Cap takes this right to the chest and
like over and over again.
And then they put a magnet on his wrist that goes to the wall, and he just with pure force, with pure like muscle, he just says nah, and like he gets off and then he gets another one, and
it's
then
the same one. It actually like
it went back.
It got close enough and it hit.
And then he's taken like 10 guys on with one arm,
one hand tied behind his back,
and he wins because he's Captain America and he's strong as hell.
Yeah. But this shows how strong that magnet is. He got up on the wall and was like forcibly holding both holding that arm with his other hand and like trying to rip it off the wall. He did, but it took a lot of power.
Oh yeah. It's something if I could fight magnetism, that'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then the one guy remains with he's like, sorry, it's not personal. And then Cap knocks him out and he kicks the shield up. He's like, feels pretty personal. But then he opens up the elevator and there's a bunch of dudes with guns. So Cap just hits the cords on the elevator and it like falls until it like stops and like then jumps out the window.
Jumps out the window. I mean, he jumps out of a window, hits the ground
on the shield.
He walks away.
And then I love the one agent is like, how in the hell? And then so he's like, target me, moving, whatever. And then so like,
yeah, they knew he was going to get his bike out of the. So he grabbed his bike and he gets out before they close the hangar doors.
Yeah.
And barely. Then he starts driving down the only exit of the compound.
Out of Shield's compound. And then like the spikes raise up. There's like there's like walls going up with spikes on them. And then it's like I don't know what it is, but it's like the thing that Nat used in the first Avenger movie with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
It's like a helicopter, but like not really.
It's the heliplanes.
Yeah. And it has basically the thing that this thing has is a minigun attached to like the bottom of it, and it just like unloads on Steve. But he's just dodging
stop him. He just keeps going.
He just dodges it with like the motorcycle. Which I don't know. I've never aimed and fired a minigun before, but I imagine it would be hard to like track a target that's going back and forth.
Yeah.
Because you have to like reposition it, fire, and I don't know. I'm
just surprised that he didn't get hit at all. Because he didn't have his shield up at all.
But he's like going as fast as he can, I imagine, on this bike. Hits the brakes, so he flies forward, and like as he does that, he throws the shield, knocks out the engine, flips over, and then
grabs his shield off the engine. It's such a good fight.
Sick.
Like it's a good scene. It's not even a fight scene. He's just
escaping. A cool action action piece.
Yeah.
So then Steve returns to the hospital in the classic Marvel disguise with the hood up, glasses on.
He didn't have glasses. It was just a hat.
Oh, it was just a hat.
It's just a hat.
It'll work later for some guy that none of us noticed. But
yeah, you said that, and I'd never noticed him at all.
So he returns to the hospital, and the drive's gone. It's not in the vending machine anymore.
All of the bubble gum is gone that it was hiding behind.
And then who else is chewing the bubble gum behind him but the assassin, the spy specialist, Natasha Romanoff. And I can't remember what she says, but like Cap's having none of it. He's like super serious. He like grabs her and like takes her into like a back closet or somewhere. And they talk about like, what the hell's going on.
Yeah, he kind of tells her exactly what actually happened.
Yeah, like S.H.I.E.L.D. attacked him, and they're trying to figure out why Fury's dead, and they figure out that like they recognize who killed him. Natasha's like, oh, I know him on a mission way back in the day. That's the Winter Soldier. And it's like, good luck trying to catch him though. He's a ghost. And it's like, well, we got to go find the ghost. That is how matter of fact it is. That Steve's is like, yep, all right, so let's go find him.
Well, I mean, that's the mission, So,
so they have this file, and this file has some super secretive stuff about S.H.I.E.L.D. and it was taken by Fury that Natasha has. So they go to an Apple store.
Somehow Fury couldn't get into the information, but they did at an Apple store.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that doesn't make sense to me. You know?
I wonder if Fury. How did they? I don't know. Natasha, I guess.
She goes, somebody programmed this who was a little smarter than me, just a little.
Just
bit.
a little.
But
then they find out like a location that they need to go.
I think it's the origin of the information, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how though. They just plug it in and they go, "Oh yeah, we're going on a field trip.
Let's go here." That's where this information started at.
Yeah.
Which I guess it makes sense when they find out where this place is.
Yeah. Right.
And then so like they're obviously being tracked. The SHIELD dudes know where they are in this mall, but they don't know where they are at in the mall, so they're scanning for them. And then like Natasha's like, public displays of affection make people very uncomfortable, and he's like, yes, they do. So, bro, they have a kiss. And I'll tell you right now, I'm shipping Natasha and Cap over Bruce and Natasha any day of the week. I think they work well.
Yeah, but
then so like when they kiss, the SHIELD dude like looks away. I mean, it works. When you see people kissing out in public, it's like you look away. It's and then
that makes you more uncomfortable.
And then she goes, "Are you still feeling uncomfortable?" And he's like, "Not the word I would use." I'm like, hey, yo, Cap.
What does he mean? What is he talking about?
So then they fly to New Jersey, out of all places.
And so when they found out where it was, she asked, "Do you know the place?" And he goes, "I used to."
Yes.
Because
this place has so much importance in the MCU in the past, present, and later. So yeah, it's for I wish I remembered the name. But yeah, it's where Cap got his basic training. And he sees like a memory of himself like next to the flagpole, and it's just crazy to see how much he has changed and like all the different stuff he has learned, and how he used to think the world is black and white. Like, here's the enemy, let's go fight him. Now we don't know who the enemy is.
Yeah. So he realizes that this bunker that's supposed to house ammunition is way too close to the barracks. There are strict rules on do not keep ammunition this close to this area.
So they're like, that building looks weird. Let's go in that one.
They picked the right building the first time, which is kind of crazy.
And then so they're just looking at it, and all they see is empty cabinets and stuff, and they're like, wait a minute, that's the SHIELD logo. So like, oh, this his old base is where SHIELD got their start, which makes sense because that's where Peggy was, and she. Right.
We see a picture of the general that trained him, then Howard Stark, and then Peggy.
Yeah, and Natasha asks, "Oh, hey, who's the girl?" And
he doesn't even answer.
He looks away and keeps walking. He's like, "Ooh,
so sad."
But
he's scouring all of these shelves
that are just empty.
He notices cobwebs.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
So he notices cobwebs that were blowing like there was a breeze behind him.
Kind of weird.
Which is kind of weird.
So he just yanks it back. He just pulls back the trap door because he's strong. And he's like, that's a weird place to put an elevator.
Yeah.
And then so Nat does some like scientific thingies, and she like figures out the password. Like the most 4 common like I guess buttons pressed because of like fingerprints. I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting.
They find out that they go down to the bottom, and they find all these supercomputers like everywhere, like
old supercomputers.
And they like plug in the drive, and I can't remember.
Dr. Zolan?
Is it? I think is that his name? Dr. Zola. I think it's
Zola.
Maybe?
Yeah, Zola sounds right.
Yeah, the doctor from the first Captain America movie. Which is kind of so cool because in the comic books, he is a literal big brain that he comes back as. But this was a really cool, like realistic way to bring him back. Just put him in a computer, like make him AI, and he basically spills the hottest of tea.
He tells them exactly what they wanted to hear.
Yeah. and this is like, so basically what happens here, it's a lot, it's a little bit of a exposition dump here. It's a little much, but like it makes sense, I think. Hydra, after World War II,
was hired. Well, some of the Nazi scientists,
high Nazi scientists in Hydra hired
by the U.S.
Yes, for their purposes to like sciencey stuff.
You said that this actually happened.
This is a real thing that happened after World War II called Operation Paperclip.
That's scary.
It is scary that the United States hired high-ranking Nazis who today would be hanged for war crimes
to further science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of dark. And then,
weird.
but so Hydra gets into Shield because that's when they formed, was during that. So then, how he described it perfectly: Hydra grew like a parasite inside of Shield, and they changed history for their own purposes. They created chaos, so you had to create chaos so people would give up their own freedom willingly to choose safety. And I'm like, that to me is scary as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like Operation Paperclip, but not to this extent, hopefully.
We don't know, man.
And then real quick, it's like accidents do happen, he says, and it says Howard Stark murdered ? I'm like, whoa, what does that mean? So yeah. And then the algorithm determines who to kill so the New World Order can take over Hydra. And I'm like, yikers.
And then he says, is this where he says the names?
No.
Okay.
And then he's like, too bad, none of us will be alive to see it. Goodbye, Captain Rogers. And then the doors close behind him, and then a missile fired from S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like a bunker buster because it like levels this like base.
And this was underground.
Yeah.
Of the
like layers of concrete. And so like Cap they get into like this little hole, and he like raises the shield up, and dude, like there is so much debris falling on Cap, and it's crazy how much he's able to keep it up. But then they scan the area. S.H.I.E.L.D. dudes scan the area, and they see a footprint. So it's like, Cap lived. So, and they're like, bring in the asset. And I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. Then after this, they go and meet with Sam, right?
Yeah, Sam's literally the only person they can trust in the world. And he's like, so they have like Natasha and Cap have this little heart-to-heart, which is very sweet, I think, because Natasha has her own little crisis in this movie, because she's like, so my life, does it have any purpose? I just traded the KGB for Hydra is really what I did.
Yeah.
It's like, so all the good that I wanted to do to erase the red in my ledger beforehand was basically just worthless. And then Cap's like, not necessarily, because you can bring it down now, and now we trust each other, and we can do it together. So it's like,
that's nice.
I love Cap so much. And Sam is like, I made breakfast. You guys eat that sort of thing.
He has a super soldier and an assassin in his
They're probably hungry.
living room. Could be.
So then we find out that like Sam can help in more ways than one.
Yeah, so he tells them that he used to be in the Air Force of some sort.
He's like, you told me you're a pilot. He's like, I never said pilot.
I never said pilot.
And it has like Operation like dash, numbers, Falcon. And I was like, ooh.
So he says the last suit that of what he did is in a certain area 12 feet behind concrete and steel doors. And they go, oh, that should be pretty easy.
Yeah, let's go get it. So then they find Agent Sitwell, that bald dude that we've seen a couple of times.
Yeah.
Not because he's bald, because he's part of Hydra.
He was also a pretty high ranking member.
Yeah,
of
like
S.H.I.E.L.D.
he was like on like the level with Coulson.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Coulson. R.I.P. So they find him because they like I didn't quite follow how they had, but there's a connection between like Pierce, Sitwell, and like they know that they're bad guys. So they find him, and they like have a red dot on his tie. He's like, you better come with us, or else I wouldn't want to ruin that nice tie. Dude, I love Anthony Mackie in this movie.
Right here, we find out that the Supreme Court,
U.S. Senator,
so the guy
Hail
who
Hydra,
really hated Tony Stark,
told Tony to go F himself,
is actually a member of Hydra.
Dude, that also scares me. Like a U.S. Senator is part of this evil organization.
Yeah.
So they get Agent Sitwell on top of a roof, and they're about ready to throw him off.
Yeah.
And
he's like, this isn't your style, Cap. You won't do it. And he goes, you're right, but she'll do it.
She kicks him off, and then the Falcon shows up, picks him back up, and then he just spills his guts.
Tells him everything they want to hear.
And so we talked about the people that they had to kill to bring in the New World Order, people that would go against their plan. And he name drops people like Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange.
Which we don't know yet is a very important member.
We will. So yeah, basically how are they going to do that? The helicarriers that they launch, they're going to kill everybody. And he's like, by the millions.
If this is successful, this is the worst thing that has happened in the MCU.
Oh, yeah. He's like, and then Cap's like, well, how would you get all those people? He's like, the internet, dude. Like, all your information is on there. We know where you are at all times. And I'm like, oh my God, this movie just gets scarier and scarier.
It's so true.
So then Winter Soldier shows up, and it's like he kills Agent Sitwell, throws him into a semi, and he fights the three good guys.
Well, they were driving in a car at this point.
Yeah. And what I love so much, this is the first time that Sam and Winter Soldier meet each other, and how their relationship forms over time is so much fun. Goes after Natasha and Steve. He's about ready to kill Natasha. Like, it's close. It's really close. But then Steve Saver, the choreography that the Winter Soldier and Steve have here is amazing. But then Cap does, like, he grabs his face and, like, thrusts him over his head, and the mask comes off.
Yeah.
Dude, it's Bucky. And then, like, Cap's
the thing is,
Bucky
remembers a piece
for like a split second.
His life.
He's like, who the hell is Bucky?
He's been speaking in Russian this entire time.
And then he gets away because, like, Hydra, they show up, and they're like, they got all of the good guys, and they're about ready to, like, they almost execute Cap right then and there.
Luckily, there was a camera. There was a news helicopter.
He's like, not here. And so they take him away. And I was always confused of, like, how Bucky survived the fall. What I often forget is he got captured early on in that movie. It was experimented by Zola. Oh, excuse me.
Well, he lost his arm in the fall. So I imagine he grabbed something, stopped his momentum, but also ripped his arm off.
Which is brutal.
Like from the elbow down.
Brutal.
Yes. But that would explain
how he survived. And they got captured by Hydra and put on ice like Cap for 70 years. Until they need him for whatever missions.
Yeah, and they put him back on ice.
Yeah.
So he only ages when he's being used.
Yeah. And then they get saved by Agent Hill.
Yes.
And they do the same thing. They cut a hole in the floor, and then they get taken to Fury.
To Fury, who's still alive.
What? Fury's alive. And then, so tetrotoxin B, it's like slows your heartbeat, and it's like
said it was created by Banner to try to calm him down, and he said it didn't work.
Yeah, drugs aren't stopping the Hulk.
What I'm thinking is his heart got so low that the Hulk came out and, like,
thought he was dying. So they put Bucky through torture, like, over a long period of time. They put him on ice. She murdered for S.H.I.E.L.D., or I guess Hydra.
Yeah.
To change history for Hydra, which is...
They have all these pictures of him in the background of major events.
But and this is how we know for sure Agent Pierce is the bad guy, because he's in control of Hydra and in control of Bucky more specifically. And
because we see Bucky asks, who was the guy on the bridge?
Who's the guy on the bridge? He's like, you know him from a previous mission. And whenever he starts to remember, they put him through, like, shock therapy times 100. And it's so, like, his scream is like, oh my God.
They take, like, a bunch of the electric things they shocked Cap with and put it on his face.
It's like a mask.
Yes.
And then it's to get him to just like reset his programming. It's so a new plan from Nick Fury. He's like, we need to insert. It's like, so they're talking. Oh, real quick, they talk about how not only Hydra needs to go, but so does Shield.
Too. Yeah,
because
they need to restart.
They need to clean slate. All the secrets need to be dumped, and it's
almost like Iron Man's clean slate protocol. You blow everything up.
So what they need to do to take down these helicarriers that they're going to launch is insert these key cards to disable the carriers with 3 of them, so they can have control. So basically, they're going to hack. They're going to hack the helicarriers.
Because they showed that there was like 5 of them that are up there. As long as they take out the first 3, they should be good.
Yeah,
is what it seemed like.
I guess. And then Cap's having like a little somber moment on a bridge, and he remembers a moment between him and Bucky where, but like it
was right after his
parents died.
His mom and dad died.
And so like Steve's all alone, and then Bucky's like, "I'll be with you, buddy, till the end of the line." And I was like, "Ugh." But it's gonna come really important later. So then we move on to the final fight of this movie. It's to take down the helicarriers. Steve, Sam, and Natasha infiltrate with Agent Hill on like comms and like running computer stuff. And where's Fury at? Well, he's gonna make his entrance. So then we have one of the cooler lines in this whole movie. It's this little speech that Cap gives.
Hold on, we forgot one of the most important lines earlier.
What?
The line where he talks about the last time that he trusts someone.
I don't want to talk about that.
Nick Fury says.
So we all remember Captain Marvel when he gets his eye scratched out, and that's how he gets the eye patch. And in this line, he's.
This is like way earlier.
Way earlier.
It's my bad. I forgot to talk about it.
Yeah, he says he's talking about trust with Cap, and he's like, the last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye.
He's talking about the cat.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I just thought that was really funny.
Kind of deflates that scene, but it's whatever, I guess. So yeah, we get this speech as they've infiltrated and they got into the comms of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Steve gives one of the coolest speeches of all time.
Attention all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. This is Steve Rogers. You've heard a lot about me over the last few days. Some of you were even ordered to hunt me down. But I think it's time you know the truth. S.H.I.E.L.D. is not what we thought it was. It's been taken over by Hydra. Alexander Pierce is their leader. The Strike and Insight crew are Hydra as well. I don't know how many more. But I know they're in the building. They could be standing right next to you. They almost have what they want. Absolute control. They shot Nick Fury. And it won't end there. If you launch those helicarriers today, Hydra will be able to kill anyone that stands in their way. Unless we stop them. And I know I'm asking a lot. But the price of freedom is high. It always has been. And it's a price I'm willing to pay. And if I'm the only one, then so be it. But I'm willing to bet I'm not.
Did you write that down first? Or was it off the top of your head?
So they're going in, and also
such a good speech.
So that also what's happening is Pierce called a meeting of the board of S.H.I.E.L.D. So all those people are there, and
like actually in person.
Yeah, in this room with Pierce, and so they just heard all that, and they're like, "Hey, Pierce, what the heck?" But one of them, good thing one of them was a lady, because turns out so they're about to like shoot the board of Shield, but then this old senator or like the old lady just like starts kicking the crap out of everybody. It's like, whoa, this old lady got some ninja. Oh no, it's Natasha. She's got like some like facial like changes her face, make it look.
We see this again later on in the movies.
Yeah,
but this was like our first intro to they can just do like face technology.
And then one thing, Pierce put like these badges on them to give him clearance. They'll have another purpose later. So then Natasha dumps all of Shield's and Hydra's secrets onto the internet, and he goes, "Are you sure you want Shield's all of secrets on the internet?" And she's basically, "Are you ready for that?" Basically, it's going to hurt Hydra way more than it's going to hurt Shield, because now that everybody knows that Shield exists, all of their power, like socially, gone.
Yeah. Well, also everybody knows about her now too.
Yep.
How her past and
she was a KGB agent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we get Steve versus Bucky.
Yeah. Well, that was who gets their thing first?
What thing?
So they have to put all 3 of the chips into each one.
Yeah, so Cap put it in one, and then Sam put the chip in the next one, and then they're going to the third one, and then this is when Bucky shows up and starts wrecking havoc. And this also that one, like the main bad agent dude who like fought Cap a little bit before, he's going after Natasha, but
on the ground.
Yeah. And then so they have a little tussle so Sam and Cap have a little tussle with the Winter Soldier, and he disables Sam's wing, so he's on the ground.
And kicks him off the ship. He rips one of his wings off and throws him off the ship.
He can't fly now.
He can't fly.
So Sam is fighting one of the bad goons.
Cap is fighting Winter
Soldier, and Natasha is like, and then this is when Fury shows up with the helicopter and like the cape flowing, and I'm like, dude, this entrance, and he is pissed. Like the face that Samuel Jackson has, it's like, all right, we're done.
He's mad.
But Pierce has one more trick up his sleeve. The cards that like gave him clearance is basically like
it's a shocking device.
Well, like it
burns.
It like melted through them, and like he did it to like
all of them except for her
because he's using her as leverage to like let him go. So Nat just shocks herself with like one of the, and it like
it resets the pin.
Like I thought it like disabled it
it reset it because it was like on his phone. It said rebooting, and then it said fire.
Yeah,
and he never got to hit it.
So then he was trying to hit it, and then Nick Fury just pop, and it's like, oh man,
wow.
I mean, he deserved it 100%, but.
Yeah. Well, also we see that they replaced his eye, his optical, what is it called? The scan.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, get both eyes. So he pulls up his eye. We see the disgusting aftermath of the scratch.
Bad kitty. Was so everybody's has fights right now. And then Cap's about like he just like gets that third one in, and then Bucky shoots him like 3 times in the chest, and it's like, and then like as Cap gets down, like the way he's breathing and his face looks, I'm like, oh dude, Cap's close to die. I'm like, oh my god.
But
then they
get the third one in.
Yeah, Agent Hill has connection to all 3 of them, and Cap's like have them fire on each other, and he's like, aren't you still Illinois? He's like, just do it. And so, like, dude, Cap wants to, like, kill himself in all these movies.
This is when we realize that Bucky is really, like, just an emo boy. Because he's like, you don't know me. You don't know
he's, like, wildly swinging. And then, Cap's like, I'm not going to fight you, Buck. And he drops the shield. And he's like, I don't know you. You're just my mission. And he is, like, just like, with the metal arm, he is, like, beating the crap out of Cap.
Yeah.
And...
Well, then we hear Cap say those words
because I'm with you to the end of the line. He's like, if this is what you have to do, then do it. And then like that line, it's so cool because like their friendship, their bond, it broke through all the programming. And he's like, oh crap, I know who you are.
Well, I don't think he does. I think it's still He still doesn't
Well,
know
like,
for sure,
I think in
but-
that moment he knows who he is.
Yeah.
It's just like his brain's still like wonky, so like he leaves him. But like,
Yeah.
so yeah, they fall into the water, and Bucky jumps down, and you see the metal arm going to grab him, and he pulls him out. And dude, Cap would have 100% died if Bucky wouldn't have saved him.
He would have drowned. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he couldn't move. He'd been shot 3 or 4
Yeah.
times.
I guess while that's happening, I guess one of the helicarriers crashes into the building that Sam and the bad dude are fighting in.
That's the helicarrier he was in.
Yeah.
So the other 2 fell into the pit that had all of the other helicarriers
Yeah.
in it. Blew the entire thing up.
Oh yeah. And the bad guy goes, he's like, "What, are you done? You're not ready?" And then Sam just gets up and starts running the other way because there's the helicarrier crash.
Sees it, yeah.
And we, like, that guy just like gets covered in the ash and smoke. It's like
We
we
see
don't
him.
know
We
what happens to
believe he
him.
dies.
Yeah, we believe he's dead. There's a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
We believing somebody's dying, and
And then Sam goes, "I'm on the 41st floor. Come pick me up." And Samuel L. Jackson is
he's like
flying
way
up.
lower.
He's so much lower. He said, and then
41st. He goes.
He jumps out the window. Fury turns the helicopter sideways. Sam hits the other door. Door flies off into the water.
And like, I guess like Nat gets him and like
Yeah.
pulls him in.
And he goes, 41st.
It's like, it's not like they have numbers on the outside of these windows. So that's great. So then they have a funeral for Nick Fury, even that it's like, so that he's going to be dead for a while. Like, he wants people to think he's dead.
Well, we don't see the funeral. We just see the gravestone.
Gravestone. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody probably showed up. I mean,
And then Natasha gives him a file from Kiev about Bucky and what happened to him. And then Cap's like, I got to go get him.
well, Cap was in the hospital, and he
For a
says
while.
"on your left" again, which I thought was really funny.
Oh, yeah.
Because
In the beginning, Sam.
yeah, Sam was playing some R&B music, which
Yeah.
I assume was off of the
The track that
the
he gave
track
him.
he told him to play.
Yeah.
And he's like, "on your left," and he goes, "Gosh, dude." It's like traumatizing to hear.
And then we see that the dude who got left in while the building was falling, he's messed
survived,
up, but he survived, and he'll come back later. And then we get to the after credit scene. Turns out there's like multiple branches of Hydra. It's like you said, you cut one head off, more will grow. And they got the scepter from the Avengers.
Because they're a part of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And S.H.I.E.L.D. yeah, I guess.
and they've been
Turns
testing
out,
it.
yeah, they've been testing it on willing subjects, and they've been testing it on they call them the twins. One's a fast dude, and one's a girl that can has telekinesis.
She made wood blocks sharp.
And that's it. It's like, oh,
That's the movie.
that's it. Now, kind of wrapping up here. I thought, I think this is where it starts to really kick off, is like the big storytelling. 'Cause this is when the Russo brothers come in. Kevin Feige's really starts to get a plan here. There's a tone change. It's unique because it's not only a superhero movie, it's kind of got some spy stuff going on, which I think is neat when superhero movies have another genre kind of built in with it. But yeah, I think it's definitely a tonal shift in these movies that we're going to see later, because it starts to really kind of open your eyes, especially a couple movies that we'll talk about soon. But this one, I think it's fine as far as sequels go. I'd say it's definitely better than the first Captain America.
Yeah.
Well,
these are also getting newer movies, so
Yes.
you get better CGI, better
Yeah.
special effects,
Yeah.
all of that. It becomes better.
Yeah. So I'd rate this a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah. This you can definitely, at the end of it, you can definitely tell it's a middle movie.
Yeah. No, there's more
there are
story to
movies
tell.
that have to be told afterwards.
Yeah.
So for that, it kind of brings down for me.
Mm.
And before rewatching this, I did not remember anything that happened. I knew, oh yeah, that bad guy, he was a good guy at one time. But other than that, I was like, I did not remember it. And even now, it could just be my memories. I don't remember the movie. Like, it's a good movie, but it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean they're definitely more memorable
memorable movies.
Memorable movies, yeah, for sure.
Alliteration. I mean, I'd have to give it probably 7, 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
It was a good movie, but it's definitely a middle movie.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let us know at our email, silverscreenpod@gmail.com, and thank you for listening.